Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Light on me. Here we go. Thank you. Today's episode is Flamin' Hot. This is a 2023 movie, brand new to Disney Plus in the last, obviously the last year. Last year. Uh, this is an hour and 39 minutes long. It is a Disney Plus original. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, it came from Searchlight, Fox Searchlight, or 20th Century First Searchlight. They got rid of the Fox because of all the bad connotations. So yeah, when Disney took over 20th Century, so it's an independent film sub studio. That doesn't matter as much as this is a movie that exists and is directed by Eva Longoria. I was just gonna make a purely sexist remark saying that she was just the hottest Desperate Housewife to me. The Desperate Housewives, yeah, she was, yeah, funny and gorgeous. So, but she's also the director of this film, which tells the story of Richard Montañez, who is the flamin' hot king. He's created an entire industry based on this, and he started out in. This is one of those rising up from nowhere, rising up from poverty to become somebody who has made a humongous influence on culture, on food products that are available everywhere. He went from. I shouldn't spoil this, but you got to kind of figure what's going on here. He is telling this story. Oh, by the way, the actor who plays him in this is Jesse Garcia, and he's fantastic. Not just wearing the great handlebar mustache, but for over many decades in which this film takes place. But he's got this great sense of humor. He's got this great energy. He's got he's hilarious. It's fun to hear for once a voiceover narration that doesn't take itself too seriously. Hopefully, I imagine that's the actual sense of humor of the actual man of Richard himself. I'm hoping that's the case. I imagine they try to make him as the character as much like the real man as possible. But who knows? But this is really about Richard and his wife Judy and the sons they raised in Southern California, just coming up out of poverty, out of realizing that, hey man, we really there's not a whole lot of opportunities. Even when they try to get a job, they can't. And they both came from gang culture, from just the rough times, rough places, and there's no apology for that. It's who they were at the time, and it's part of their origin story. Let's just say that. But they grew up, they changed, and applied themselves in ways that even they did not expect. Richard did not expect. Judy had belief in him, and he credits her in this film as being the reason why he is anywhere that he is. And yes, the actual Richard and Judy do appear in the film, not just in a recap of what's happened since at the end of the movie. Yes, this is based on their true story. How much of it is 100% true is, things get edited and moved around and added or removed based on how the movie flows and how it is interesting. It's not necessarily making up things, but it's just sometimes enhanced to be more interesting, because not all of us have really super interesting lives, especially if you're trying to tell a story that takes place over many decades. But yeah, in this case, they tell a story that is both engaging and fun, and you are rooting for Richard and Judy the entire time. Just even when they're making difficult choices and sometimes bad choices, but it's that very often it's out of necessity for taking care of their family, taking care of the ones they love. And yeah, you know what? It just didn't stop them from saying, oh, this is where we are and this is where we're going to stay for the rest of our lives. They use the term initiative in this film, and it's something that Richard at one point doesn't really understand until it's explained to him, and he doesn't really know whether he has initiative or not. And he does. Hint, hint. It's a spoiler alert there. And so if you ever had a Flamin' Hot Cheeto, it's because of this man. Or Flamin' Hot Dorito, or anything else from the Frito-Lay company, it's because of this man. He moved from barely getting a job as a janitor, where he didn't know much. He really didn't have even a high school education. And but he was eager to learn whatever he could. And I'm not going to spoil the whole thing for you, but you kind of know where the story's heading. So there are moments that he does, when I say, they make up stuff, there are moments where he does exaggerate and he calls himself out on it. There's a scene where like somebody ticks him off and you see him just looks like he's beating the crap out of him or attacking them for cutting him down. And it's not violent. There's no blood or anything else. It's more comical than it is actual violence. But he's like, no, it didn't go down that way. It went down like this. This is how it really happened. And so yeah, so they play the scene again, but in a more realistic tone. It happens a number of times throughout the film. And there's other moments also when when he's telling the story, other characters lip sync his dialogue. And not the least of which is Tony Shalhoub, as you might know as Monk. He recently did a Monk movie that came out recently. Tony Shalhoub plays the president of PepsiCo, which owns Frito-Lay, and he is the man that Richard reaches out to, even though he is told by everyone, do not do that. He reaches out to this man and says, you know what, I want to do something. I want to try something. Can this happen? He doesn't necessarily ask for permission. He just says, this is what should be done. And he's given an opportunity. And it's kind of fantastic. He's also given opportunities by the people taking care of each other in a time and a place where people of color aren't exactly his entire life aren't exactly treated the way that any human being should. And he's able to sidestep that. He's able to fight back against that. He's able to find camaraderie with others who can help him and he can help them. And not least of which is Dennis Haysbert, he was a president in 24. He plays Clarence Baker, another person in the Frito-Lay factory where he works. And he's an engineer and he knows his way around how the chips are made and how everything is done. And he learns a lot from him. So yeah, I've given you the basic framework. I haven't really spoiled too much for you, but what I can say is I highly recommend this film. I don't really do that very often. I try to look for the positive things in most films, even the worst, except for Arranged, which was yesterday's. But I try to find the best thing. This I don't have to work really hard. I highly recommend it. It surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, but it tells a great story with lots of humor, lots of serious dramatic moments as well. But it's the humor that makes Richard's character endearing. Again, Jesse Garcia, who's playing him. Fantastic. You'll recognize a bunch of other people. Emilio Rivera plays his father, Vacho. He was in Sons of Anarchy, and I think the Mayans as well. There's also comedian Matt Walsh plays one of the managers. You'll recognize him. But yeah, I guess anything after Arranged yesterday was going to look good. So, but that is not the case. Even if I had not watched that, I could watch this again and again because I like underdog stories. I like stories that feel real and are based on real stories. And I take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt because usually people are made to look their best in these type of biographies, but it's fully done with the approval of the people who are still alive. He's retired now. So like I said earlier, he and Judy appear in the film, not as themselves, but just randomly in one scene. If you want to find, you can probably figure out who they are, but there's a scene where people are handing out some of the Flamin' Cheetos in a park, a picnic, and there's a Latin man along with a blonde Latin woman, and that is the original couple, Richard and Judy. So, Annie Gonzalez, by the way, plays Judy. She's fantastic as well. So, Eva Longoria did fantastic directing this, and it's, if you're Mexican, Latin heritage, or anything else, this tells you when people try to talk to you, people who look like me, try to tell you that you're less or that you're different or that you're not good because, well, you're Mexican. Well, you're a person who's trying to take our jobs or not do a job or just feed off of. Screw those people. Do what you know is best. Helps you and your family. Just as I would say to anybody in this planet, no matter what your skin color. But this is a great inspirational story, especially if you're Mexican. And I'm gonna blather. I just can't blather much further with that. So I'm gonna pick tomorrow's episode. 157. 157. Come on. Oh, okay. It's a documentary, and it's about animals, and I feel like we've seen this before, but maybe not. There's so many that are the same in there. After such a, I mean, I can't say this is going to be bad, but it's not going to be nearly as fun as Flamin' Hot. So we're going to be watching Jade-Eyed Leopard. If it turns out, like I said, it feels like we've watched this already or something. We've watched something either super similar if it's not the same exact thing. I'll be right back in a minute to pick another one because I'm not watching the same thing twice. Jade-Eyed Leopard is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you then.